Hi guys, welcome to Chemo Glow, where the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. Check us out wherever podcasts are available. Guys, our Chemo Glow podcasts are out there. We're out there on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, Audible. There's no reason why you cannot check out our past podcasts. I'm so happy that you guys are joining us live tonight. If you're on YouTube, guess what I need you to do? Hit that button, subscribe, so you'll know when we're on, because we're always on. So make sure you check us out. You can also reach us at chemoglow@gmail.com if you want to share your glow. And we're going to talk about the glow tonight. If you want to share your glow, just email me like our guest did tonight. But I have something to announce. We are going to take a couple of months off. Why? Because I've been locked in the house with my twin girls who are turning 5 in June. And it's time for us to celebrate. It has been great. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to take some time and enjoy our family. I think we all should be doing this. The doors are opening. COVID is still out there. Wear your mask. Don't wear your mask. I can't tell you what to do, but I know I'm going to take a couple of months off. So I can't wait to come back and give you guys some brand new content. And again, email me if you still want to share your glow, because we'll still be reading emails, and I can't wait to hear some new stories. Well, we're going to end May with a very special guest. And why is she special? Because she has a book out. She's launching a book. And guess what our publicist did? They reached out to us. They actually emailed at, say it again, chemoglow@gmail.com. There it is. You see how I keep putting it out there? Because guys, I want to hear glow. And tonight our guest is going to be sharing her glow, and it is so amazing. My guest tonight is Carole Weaver, PhD, breast cancer survivor, motivational speaker, but she is so much more. She's the author of the book that we're going to be discussing tonight, Pies to Die For. But she also has another book out there called The Art of Surviving Cancer. And when someone reaches out to you to get to know you, want to be on your live, you have to do a little homework on them. So we did. And the first video that came up, I knew she would be perfect for this show. So
10 years ago, I had breast cancer. And I knew in that process, I was going to need a village to get me through. But I soon realized that my village was a ghost town. My loving family was 3,000 miles away. And a phone call is not a hug. My doctors were suspect. I got E. coli in the operating room. And the other doctor neglected another complication. My shrink kept telling me, be authentic. I don't care if you have 1 or 2 breasts. Just forget your mother. She was abusive. What was left? My friends, my girlfriends, my wonderful girlfriends taking me to appointments after work, their faces wan with weariness, their phone calls, how you doing, honey? Let me tell you a joke. I finally exhausted them. What was I to do? I needed another source of energy, of laughter, of interest, of anything to keep me away from this cancerous breast. So one day, I'm in a friend's house and I see a beautiful porcelain statue. She had folded garments, beautiful hands. And I said, oh, this is lovely. This is a beautiful woman. No, it is the god of compassion. Oh, you mean goddess? No. In Tibetan culture, the god of compassion is a man, because compassion is a tough job. And I said, this is a man? Well, look. And I felt the front of the statue. No breasts. Ah, this one's for me. This'll be my mascot as I face a mastectomy, the Tibetan god of compassion, with no breasts.
Welcome, my class, Dr. Carole Weaver. Hi. I love that video. How are you doing today?
I'm just great, and I'm telling you, I'm so happy to be here, Regina.
Oh,
you're an extraordinary host and a sister, of course, the survivor. But I really have enjoyed our conversations.
Yes.
You know, as they say, you get me.
I get you. When you said in your email that you like my tagline, "The glow doesn't define me, I define the glow." And I love when you said the PET scan doesn't define me and the blood test doesn't either. It is so true.
It is so true. Well, you know, if anybody's read Alyssa Rankin's book, Mind Over Medicine, I recommend it.
Yes.
Perhaps you have. You know that she talks about the inner pilot light that you have to listen to. Of course, your doctors should be listened to, but I found as I've gone through this, and now I have metastatic cancer, that I find the strength to boss them around a little bit, you know, and it feels good. I know what's best for me. An example is I was on oral chemo until 3 days ago. They put me for a couple of weeks, and it was horrible. I felt as if I were aging, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I spoke to my oncologist and I said, look, I can't do this. And we have that kind of relationship where she said, okay, you'll get off that. We'll find something else.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people are so intimidated by doctors that they just go along with the program. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
You have faith, listen to your instincts. But in my case, I had a blend of some difficulties with doctors and some great ones.
Yeah, I loved in your book, which I have, Pies to Die For.
Thank you.
Yes. Actually, you have a great chapter. Chapter 8 talks about doctors. And that was a big thing for me. We had to advocate for our doctors. Our first ones, we didn't like so much. My husband was not happy with them. So the second time around, we got what we called our dream team of doctors. Because you have a choice to say, yeah, I don't think so. And I read in your book where you talked about one doctor that she didn't have the great bedside manner, but, she was well known, but didn't call back, didn't do those things. And what did you do in that situation?
Well, she put me on this medication, which I won't mention.
Mm-hmm.
The company may go after me. I said, I'd rather die than do this. This was when I was first diagnosed. And I realized that she was in the city, I was in the country. It was difficult to get to her. So I said, can't we make an arrangement where I can go to a doctor that's closer? And so they moved me up to Westchester. I'm in Rockland County.
Mm-hmm.
And I lucked out. I got the chief of oncology there. And she has been wonderful. She's really been wonderful. But the first one was a genius. And she even said to me, I said, what am I going to tell my family? I have metastatic cancer. How long do I have to live? She said, tell them 10 years that this is going to be like HIV or diabetes. And she said, and that's not counting all the new medications that may come about. So she did one good thing, but she wasn't there when I needed her.
Mm-hmm.
Get me. She didn't understand that it's my spirit and attitude that's probably keep me going for these last 6 years since the diagnosis.
So
but Regina, can I ask you, who is your team? Or is that to
No, I am so happy about my team. I'm at UNC. I volunteer actually for them. I'm the vice president of their patient, family, and advisory board because I wanted to make sure that I was giving back. So the only way you can do that is to make change. You got to change. You got to put yourself there. So Dr. Carey, Lisa Carey, I actually looked her up after she was given to me by my nurse navigator that told me that I needed to go get a second opinion from the doctor that gave me the first one.
Right.
Which was interesting. And so even from my lay navigator, she was a wonderful Amy DePew. I still talk to her, just talked to her last week, and it's been 10 years. But my husband, who I was newly engaged to, he was definitely the head of my team. He was there, and I had family and friends because I was planning to get married. I was planning a wedding. All these things were going on. So all these things going on, I had to figure out, like you said in the video we just played, sometimes you wear out your friends. Oh, it's Regina again. It's that cancer. Oh, more cancer talk. What now? But I actually had friends that I could laugh with and say the craziest stuff to and wouldn't be judged.
Right.
Unfortunately, some of those friends have been jumped in this thing that we call breast cancer during this. But because of what I've been through, I'm able to advocate for them. And that's why I talk about the chemo glow, because it should find you. Shouldn't define you at all. You define it. And you've been doing a wonderful job of doing it.
Well, my doctor puts a picture of me on her refrigerator.
Oh.
So I think that's the ultimate compliment.
Well, yeah. I have a new way that I start my day, and I want to show you right quick because you inspired me to do this. So let me see if I can get one of my producers to pull up this video that I love to use every morning now. I love that video. What inspired you to do that in that moment?
Well, I was introducing a talk about art and healing in my first book. And, you know, I was in front of 100 professional speakers in New York City. And I knew I had to do something that was going to be lively. So I played Yo-Yo Ma, which is my favorite, playing tango. And then I went into the talk.
Yes.
One of my themes, and we'll talk about this later, Regina, is art and healing. I really believe that art got me through the first cancer episode. And I recommend it in this book as one of the chapters,
Yes.
So,
art and healing. Well, let's back up a little bit and let's just talk about how your life was before all of this.
Well, I have had a very beautiful life, a rather adventurous life. I was born in Baltimore, and I was the first in my family to go to college. And then I went to Europe and taught the troops for the University of Maryland, which was a lot of fun in my 20s. And then I came back and got a PhD, got married and had 2 beautiful sons. And then my husband left me, my first husband. And I had a 2-month-old and a 3.5-year-old.
Wow.
So I had to change my plans. I was going to be a Shakespeare teacher. And instead I became a hardworking fundraiser, to put peanut butter on the table. But I don't regret that change. It was a very exciting period, but it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have any family in Westchester, and but somehow my boys turned out well. They both make movies in Hollywood, and they're doing great. They're 40 and 36. So then I wanted to go to Broadway because I had done these shows, and everybody said, "Oh, you're so good. Why don't you do auditions?" So I said, "Okay." I sold my house and bought a little tiny apartment, and was starting to do that plan when I met my second husband, my second husband, my last husband, and he's wonderful. He's an art appraiser. So that chapter is in the first part of the book. I thought it was kind of a spiritual reason I met him.
I love it. I don't mean to cut you off, but when you talk about pies to die for, and he went and he got you, was it a rhubarb pie? And he turned around and he looked at the sign and said, "Pies to die for." My book is all marked up. So if I'm looking down, it's because guess what? I read your book and I enjoyed it. And and I read that and I was like, he's my kind of guy. And I love that you were able to put him throughout this book. It's so great.
And you're my kind of reader. You really are. You really read the book and savor it. Yeah. When I wrote this, Regina, I wanted it not to be all about glum and self-pity and grief. I said I wanted some kind of entertainment, whether Chinese astrology or whatever. But my husband has got these crazy clients. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They keep us in money, right? And then revenue. But some of them, it's funny what people do when they lose a work of art. It's losing your health or losing something precious through death, divorce, and disaster. So I wove that into the stories. Some of them have direct relationship to whatever I was talking about, legacy, for example, and so forth. So the first one gave me the title of the book. That woman who called on him. If I do that little story, is that too much?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I have it highlighted in my book.
He gets a call from this woman in a trailer park. "I have a $15,000 bed. Please come. It's been hurt. It's been damaged. And I have an insurance policy on it. So I want you to give me an appraisal so I can get the money or repair it." So he goes there. It's a trailer park, $15,000. It turns out to be a $5,000 bed, but it's shoved into a corner. And he looks at it, and she said, "My son committed suicide in this bed. There's a gunshot wound in the headboard." So Ken seen a lot of stuff. He stayed. He took the pictures. He did all of the stuff. And he left, and he didn't feel very well. So he said, "I think I'll go in the town and get a cup of coffee." So he goes in the town, and the town is weird. I'm not going to tell you where it is. Everything is kind of, nobody's around. The library is as big as a latrine. There's a hotel that looks at it's out of gun smoke. But there's one little shop that seems to be lively. So he goes in, and the guy is so thrilled that he's got a customer, and he tells him all about his pies that he makes from scratch, and they're all organic, blah blah. And Ken says, "What happened to this boy?" And he said, "Oh yeah, he was 22. He didn't have a job, and he took one of his mother's boyfriend's guns and shot himself, killed himself." So he buys me a strawberry rhubarb pie, Ken, and he walks out. He turns around, and he looks up, and the name of the shop is Pies to Die For. So that's why I love that title. Of course, people think it's a cookbook, but until they read the second part, How to Live a Life Vibrantly, even with a fatal diagnosis. But there's another reason for the title. Through the book, and it's a little bit esoteric, but it's really what I'm after. I want people to get this attitude of acute simultaneity, meaning that you can't forget the fact that you've got death like this over you, but you can enjoy life as much as possible.
Yes.
So those two things are going to be with you as they're not with other people. There's another cognitive dissonance, and you can find different ways of expressing it. But I find that right, because very often I feel that I'm so fortunate and I have so much excitement and happiness and beauty in my life. But I can't forget.
Yeah.
I can't forget. This is a sword over my head. And at any time, that can be taken away from me. Am I going to not enjoy the other stuff? I certainly am. I'm not going to let that sword dampen my vitality for as long as I have it. And I believe that it's keeping me alive.
I believe that too, because when I read this book, I was like, she gets it. She gets it. Great and encouraging points. Amazing, both of you. Well, thank you. There's a part in the book, because you just mentioned that, and I highlighted it, and I want to make sure I get to it, because you talk about grief, and I like the way that you can say, okay, it's looming over me, but I can still enjoy my life to its fullest. Like, even when you were first diagnosed, knowing that it may come back, you
can't say it won't. I mean, nobody
exactly.
Yes, but the signal moment for me was when I think about how long I've had this metastatic thing. I only have to look at my grandson, because he was born the same time I got the diagnosis. So if he's 5, then I know it's been 5 years. But holding him in my arms soon after that diagnosis was the keenest version of acute simultaneity. To have the spectacular joy of my first grandson and knowing that I'm that sick, or that I have that in front of me, was really quite an experience. I'll never forget it. And it shows up, of course, throughout the book and throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can push aside the negative thoughts with all kinds of things. That's what I'm offering in these 12 chapters, whether it's yoga or art, even creating your own art. And a big factor for me is others. The way in which you've got to focus on somebody else other than yourself. The Dalai Lama's point of view is so powerful. Even if you just think about some abstract, or people in Palestine, what are they going through? It shifts your perspective just a little bit, like your body shifts in a chair. And you say, well, I'm not going through that. My house hasn't been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are okay. This is the old bromide about being grateful. But the launch into gratitude is to look at other people's situation.
Mm-hmm.
Really look at it, whether it's a neighbor or it's a national or international situation. Those people are suffering, really suffering. You've got a family, you've got good doctors, you have your own attitude, you have all kinds of resources.
Yeah.
So be grateful for that.
And you really do spell that out in your book. People need to know, and we're going to make sure we talk about everything in the book. But at the end of the book, it's like a workbook, because you give strong recommendations, everything that you talk about in here. And one of the things that you talk about is surrounding yourself with other people, being giving, finding something that you enjoy, your art, whether it's country music, like you said. Like this podcast is my joy.
Yes,
yes, it started out as me chatting and me actually recording all of my thoughts, which were not always great, while I was going through treatment. And like we were talking before we came on, you're looking at your journals and seeing where you were at that time. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to put my recordings out there because they're not all pretty. Like, again, this is not a pink parade.
No, that's right.
Understand the power of pink. However, it's not a pink parade. And I felt like I was jumped into a gang and they said, hey, here's your tattoo. This is what's going on. You're going to wear pink. We're going to cut you here. We're going to slice you there. And I just felt like there has to be something more to that. So the fact that you're talking about in your book just really pushes me to really look at what's next for me, because I can really enjoy what's going on in my life and still know that there's stuff going on around me that I need to help with. So I have really like gotten something out of these pages. It's not just a book. And I hope people read it.
That's a wonderful compliment. Yeah, well, the others part comes from being a fundraiser. As much as I had other dreams of what I was going to do, teaching literature and so forth, I really did enjoy doing fundraising, building things, getting people to give. Very, very satisfying. And I realized that it is the ultimate way to give your life purpose, is look at what others need. In fact, I have a refrigerator magnet, which I must send you, Regina. I don't have it right in front of me here, but it says it reduces everything. And when you have a bad day, to motion, spirit, and I forget what the other one is, but others is the end. It just says that was the definition of philanthropy by the founder of the Salvation Army. He was asked, what is philanthropy? And he said, others, exclamation point.
It's so true. And we were talking about fundraising, and I made it, well, I was actually being very serious. When you go to fundraise, you're asking people to open up their wallets, asking them to open up their pocketbooks. And sometimes I just want to go and lift up my shirt and say, this is why. This is why we need you to give us this money so we can help people going through cancer. I'm hoping that one day cancer is no longer here, but I don't think it's going to happen in my day. But I'm hoping by fundraising and giving back and volunteering and having things like that, that we are making sure that people know this is still going on and we want to live our life to the fullest. Because you say in the book, the trick is to know that, hey, this is over me, but what can I do next? You can still live in the same space, but what's next for me?
Yeah, and the fact that you have this program and that's your art, I would call this your art. There's been studies, I think it was Dr. Rankin who did it. She said that creativity is very, very helpful for people who have cancer. It really makes a difference in their lives. So now that's kind of inner directed, isn't it? As opposed to others. But for me, the writing was such an avenue out of self-pity and worry and so forth. So I'm going to continue doing it. That's my art form. But there are many art forms. There's dance, of course, paintings and ceramics, music. They have found that, I think you probably know this with the dementia patients, Alzheimer patients. They may not recognize their son's face, but they can sure sing Frank Sinatra songs. Because those circuits were carved into their brain when they were younger, and they haven't forgotten. So they can sing that, and then that brings back some of what they were. So music, Oliver Sacks did a lot of work on this, is so powerful. I think it should be around every cancer center, every department, because in the hospitals and in the women's centers, because it does have such an impact on our neurochemistry.
Yes.
It does. So I talk about this in a little bit in this book and in the other one, but I really believe that an art form is so powerful in our health, especially for people with cancer.
And you talk about that, like you said, you talk about it, and you also talk about it with loneliness in the chapter about loneliness and movement and
Yeah,
getting to know, like getting outside of yourself. You said in your book, when you're away, you feel as if cancer doesn't exist. When you're on vacation and you're visiting friends and you're having a good time. I actually sat with my guest last 2 weeks ago. I went to lunch with her and she talked about how she finally went on vacation. And when she was on vacation, Fawn said that there was no cancer. Nobody knew me about cancer. I was not getting stuck in the cancer patient identity, which I love that in chapter 12, because you kind of get stuck there. And
yeah.
how do you get out of that when you're going through or when you're writing books like this? So how do you stay out of being stuck in that patient cancer identity?
Well, I think that's a great question, and it's really sometimes unavoidable for people, particularly in this COVID thing. We couldn't go for it anyway. But there's another colleague of mine, Dr. Silvestri, who talks about widening the frame. In a way, it's like a version of the Dalai Lamas, but widening the frame means that you look at the rest of your life. And the other way to widen your frame is to go to the Falkland Islands or to go to South America, get on a ship or go to the Caribbean. And that way you're seeing it's really a powerful change agent because you're not only getting out of that, I'm in the house, I'm going to have cancer. Probably they'll call and I have to do an MRI, blah, blah, blah. You're in a whole different world where people do it. And you are also seeing that other people have troubles too in faraway places, in paradise, in places that look like nobody could have a problem. And you're enjoying that aspect of nature, whether it's, in my case, it was the Falklands with the penguins and oh my God, the beautiful sea.
I cannot wait to go somewhere, anywhere
Yes,
right now.
I think that's exactly the way I feel. I don't care where it is.
I don't care where it is, but I have to get out of North Carolina. I have to go somewhere. And I'm looking forward to that because you also talk about panic attacks, COVID.
Yes.
Did that affect you during this time with COVID? And then in your book, when in chapter 4, when you're talking about those panic attacks, what did you do to kind of settle that?
Well, a couple of things. The COVID thing did make me feel claustrophobic at the same time scattered because I felt like I was contained in the house, but then I'd hear about all these places far away that were suffering it. So I was kind of wobbling between the two. But what I'm grateful to COVID for, if I should say that, is because I couldn't have my regular life where we socialized, where we had travels to the Caribbean and cruises and my going to Los Angeles to see my family there. I wrote constantly. I wrote this book because I had an insight one day. Oh my God, you've got all this time. You've got to do something. You don't want to learn a language. You don't want to go to school anymore. And you got this draft. So I hired an editor and what happened actually is that she put me together with three other writers who were doing nonfiction books about totally different things. And we met once a week on Zoom and compared what we had written. Well, that's really helpful to me. I really liked that. And it got me through to a full draft.
Wow.
So you you find the opportunity in the disadvantages, and that there's a Chinese symbol for, I think it's trouble, and it's also the definition of opportunity. So in my case, that's what I wanted to do, and I did it. As far as loneliness, and you mentioned that,
Yeah.
that's a big topic, and I'm sure a lot of people have suffered that.
Yeah.
And what I say in there, loneliness kills more people than cancer and heart attacks. And people who don't socialize, don't have friends, are really in a very dangerous situation as far as their health is concerned. So
Yeah.
you got to get out there. It's another reason to volunteer, to give, to find out what you want to do that might give you some joy and others.
Finding your art. Finding your art is so important. And the fact that you did it, and I like that you were on Zoom with other authors, something totally different from what you're doing, but you were able to get feedback from them, and you actually came up with a draft. And now you're on your second book. Well, actually, this is your third, because you co-wrote something with your husband, right? And one other person under Carole Weaver.
You have done your homework, girl. Actually, it's not my husband. His name is Ken too, but I'm waiting for this book to come out. It's a book of poetry. It's called Train Romance, and it's done, but it has to be manufactured. So this is my fourth book that I'm working on. So yeah, but remember, I'm a PhD in English. I'm not saying everybody should do this, but I've always wanted to write, but I was a single parent. I was so busy. And so this is a blessed period for me. And I'm every morning I get up and say, thank you for this husband who's allowed me to do this.
I just told my husband that, was it last night or the night before? He came downstairs and I said, I just want to thank you. And he looked like, okay. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to just to be still and figure out what I want. So he said, what do you want to do? And I was like, you know what? Nothing for the next 2 months. I think I'm gonna take some time off and just be a wife, be a mother, and just be me. Like, that's enough right now. And that takes a lot.
I don't know how mothers did it. I really don't. My heart goes out to them, because I know what it was like to be a single parent. But you have a husband, of course, that's true. But you have the kids all the time.
All the time.
And
pull them out of school. And literally, it's been a year and some change. And I'm so looking forward to them going back, going to kindergarten. And so I'm going to take a couple of months off to share this time before they go into kindergarten, because I want to make sure that I capture all of that. And plus, one of my little girls wants to start their own podcast because mommy's doing it. So I'm gonna get her a fake mic and just let her go to town.
I think that's a wonderful influence you've had on her. That's great.
Thank you. Well, I want to keep talking about your book, because there's a couple of things that I want to make sure that we talk about, especially for our listeners. We talked about panic attacks and the loneliness, but chapter 2 and 3 talk about self-pity and depression, which kind of ties into when we're going into the panic attacks and how we deal with that. What's something that you can tell our audience how to deal with the self-pity and the depression that comes? Because it comes and goes.
Yes, it does. Well, I mean, self-pity, you just got to sit yourself down. I mentioned a couple of things. I really do believe, though I don't do it all the time, in motion. Something. Now, I have a bad back. But I can do soft yoga, and I have a wonderful teacher who deals with seniors, and sometimes they just sit in a chair and do it. I'm not quite there, but I think I mentioned 2 of my favorite poses. one is the warrior, and I think you love that too.
Yes, I love warrior.
And when I did well the first time, I found myself crying. And I said, Violet, why am I doing this? She said, well, there is a commentary in yoga that when you do an asana very well, you cry.
Mm.
You cry because it's so beautiful. It's if you understand that the warrior is part of you. So when I feel self-pity, I do that even just out of the blue. The other one is harder. It's called the eagle, and you have to move
Mm.
your legs around and do this kind of thing. And I don't. She says, "You're amazing that you can do that." And I said, "I'm doing it." Oh, but the eagle is one of my spirit animals, so I try to do that. And that's a whole dimension. I worried
Mhm.
about writing that chapter because people think, "Oh, woo woo, she's so weird."
No,
But
I no. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the reason why I connected, because it was so different, and different good. Different that I was reading something that I could relate to and connect with. From the warrior pose, I cried in that pose the first time I did it, when I was actually going through treatment, and I went to a yoga class they were offering to cancer patients, and I was like, I'm just going to go because I need to do something. And I started going weekly. And once I got that pose and I got my rhythm and I could find the joy in it, I got it. And people are like, why are you doing yoga? Why are you meditating? Why are you doing acupuncture? Why are you doing all these things that instead of just popping a pill? I was adding other things in my life that brought me joy, because the poison that they shove into me,
yeah,
they really don't understand the side effects from it, which we were talking about before the show. So I
yes.
needed to do something else to bring me that joy, to show my glow again, because just doing chemo, radiation, surgery, and more pills doesn't give me this glow that I need.
Oh, you're so good. That's why my doctor, my oncologist, took me off chemo, because I said not just that it was aging me. I said it diminishes my spirit.
Mm.
As soon as I said that, that was it, because that's what she's counting on to keep me going. Yeah, and now, but you have to make adjustments. I did yoga last year. I've had a little more back pain, maybe
Hmm.
not because necessarily because of the cancer, but I have uh, degenerate discs and kyphosis and all this other stuff. So
Hmm.
now I'm doing qigong. Now qigong is a much softer version of yoga. You still move your body, but it's what I love about it. It's so poetic. You
Hmm.
have the lotus. You do like this with your hand,
Ah,
and you go like this.
I love it. I love it. Look at the smile it brings to your face. I love it. But
So that's because it's poetic, and I'm an English teacher, and because it's a little easier on me, I do that rather than the yoga right now. I mean, I may go back to the softer senior yoga, as they called it. But that's important. And the other thing that I do, and that's closer to this spiritual yearning that I have, is I do these postures on Friday mornings, which are studies of these ancient religions and these statues uh, that you assume the posture of the statue, and you listen to a rattle and you go into a trance. Now I know
mhm,
that sounds crazy, but there are about 10 people who do it. They're all really well educated, and writers and acupuncturists and
mhm,
psychotherapists. And then afterward, we share what we saw in the
mhm.
posture. And somehow that speaks to my spirit. Now, I'm a fallen away Catholic girl. So
I read that.
I go from ancient religion to, and I still like to go to church. I sing in this tiny choir in this country church. That we don't have an organ. We're too poor, but we sing a cappella, and that soothes me. I don't care what your spiritual beliefs
Mm-hmm.
or religious beliefs, but I think you need to sort of cuddle up to them
Yeah.
sometimes. See what,
Brings you comfort.
yeah. I mean that you don't have to go crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a synagogue. I have a wonderful Jewish friend who's such a comfort to me about her religious beliefs. And so you need to think about, I I have to say it, you have to think about the other side.
Yeah.
And those mysteries, as Einstein said, are so important. If we're not fascinated by that, you're dead. I
Yeah.
mean, if you think this is all there is, you don't have to be, totally a believer. You can even be an agnostic, but think about the possibilities.
Oh,
And I think that's been a comfort for me. It's, I was raised as a Catholic from the time I was little.
mm-hmm.
So all those liturgies and all the art forms and everything are deep within me. But and so I'm kind of lucky, I guess.
And it shows in your book. And you were just talking about like being in that space of sitting with other people. And again, this is you did it when you were writing your book, and now you're doing it when you're posing and staying in that pose and being able to talk about what did we see? What did we experience? How do we feel now? Because you have to add the tools in your toolbox. Because,
Yeah,
you
that's
talked about your back pain. And chapter 9, you talk about pain. And you said something that was so interesting to me when you say, stick with the devil you know. And we
okay.
were talking about medication. And when I seen that we share a medication that we take, and I'm like, I get it. Because I was like, I got to stick with this because that other did not work for me.
Yeah, I had. Did you try? Did they try to give you opioids and all that in the beginning? I
Not in the beginning, but because I am allergic to them. Well, let me tell you, they did try it, and I found myself hallucinating and dancing under
what?
the light. And my husband was like, that is a fire thing, like a fire alarm, but you could not tell me it was not a disco ball. And you could not tell me the little thing on the side of my bed was not talking to me. And totally allergic to it, cannot have it. So they had to try something else because I couldn't do it. And some people are fine on it if it works for you, but it put me out of my head and I couldn't be in that headspace.
Well, it's lucky that you got off that because, of course, you know about all the addiction and the terrible things that happen.
Exactly.
I couldn't tolerate them either, and they even tried fentanyl on me
Ooh.
when Prince died from it. I
Mm.
remember that month. But I had a good pain doctor, and she finally went to the gabapentin, which I've been on for 5 years, and
Mhm.
it works very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I understand other people may choose other ways of handling their pain, and I would fight for them, as I mentioned, my friend Alan.
Yes.
Yes, I mean so he takes oxycodone, but he can live a life. He's written 4 or 5 books, little books on his philosophies, and I don't think he could do that without having some kind of chemical help. Now,
Yeah.
people do get some relief from acupuncture,
Mhm.
and now there's this energy medicine, Regina, which is
Mhm.
very interesting, which involves vibrations and uh, big computers. You sit in a room with these um, 6 or 8 or 12 computers that are having lights go up and down. And the concept is that we're all made of energy, and if you change the vibration, you can actually heal certain illnesses. I've just started trying it. All you do is go in a room and take a nap after all.
Why not? I did healing touch therapy, and they don't even touch you, but I can tell you just the energy in the room, the shifting. I felt great afterwards.
Me
And
too.
I felt great, and just dealing with pain, it's a lot. So you have to figure out what works for you,
Yes.
and not just dealing with pain, but dealing with others as well. In your book, you talk about the guerrilla attacks.
Oh, yes.
Probably my favorite, besides the pain one, because that was, I could relate, but guerrilla attacks, I know for a fact has happened to me. Can you explain to our audience what a guerrilla attack is?
Well, it's a sudden attack that reminds you of the cancer in an unpleasant way. It might be just an advertisement of a medication that you tried once. That's one of mine. I have to leave the room when they're doing about the new normal and everything. Story, when it was nearly killed me. And then there are the innocent comments that people make. Oh, I hear you have metastatic cancer. I had a friend who had it, and he was terrific, and he lived for 3 years. 3 years? Is that all? And, I mean, there's so many reminders that come at you like a gorilla that you have to shake your head and say, okay, let's move on. Let's do something else. Have a glass of wine. I don't know. Whatever.
Do something new. My thing was there was a commercial about some cancer hospital, and all of a sudden I kept saying, was these commercials not coming on before? Because every time I turned on the TV, there's a cancer commercial.
Yes.
And I was like, was I not paying attention? But there's a cancer commercial. And it is like a guerrilla attack. It just hits you all at once. You have to get up, leave the room, excuse yourself, or sit and try not to pay attention to it. And people are like, there she goes again. And you don't get it unless you get it. And I don't want you to get this thing called cancer. So I don't want you to ever get it, but understand what you do when you say different things like that. I know you might mean well, but still it affects us in so many ways. So we have to be careful with our guerrilla attacks when we're talking.
Yes. And and the worst part is many times they're innocent or they have nothing to do with you personally, but they're there. So you have to handle it. I mean, you really do have to not let certain things bother you, but it's hard. It's very hard. It's a discipline, but it's worth doing. It's worth doing.
Well, what was the best part of writing your book?
The best, the best part, I think, was the last chapter, the last paragraph. I don't know if do I have time to read?
Yes, you do, because mine is highlighted, the last paragraph. Go ahead.
Well, my writing teacher told me to wield everything together like a braid, like a beautiful big braid. All the themes that you had, and mine, of course, were legacy and authenticity and so forth. Anyway, okay. I compared the book to the gas cap, the Mercedes gas cap of the last appraisal story that I tell about this imposter general who got to be fond of Ken. And he hands Ken a Mercedes gas cap at the end of their association, an appraisal he did for him. The gas cap Tensor handed to Ken, the imposter's gift, was odd but practical, even thoughtful. Someday a careless gas station attendant will forget to put Ken's back on the tank, and Tensor's gift will be welcome. Likewise, I hand this book to you as we part, without knowing your very particular horrors. I feel like an imposter. Forgive that ignorance, only you know what you endure. But without whatever part of your heart that is in the glove compartment, I hope this souvenir will be tucked in there. Eventually, may you find some bit of advice that will lift you out of grief, depression, self pity, panic, loneliness, internet madness, doctor confusion, pain, thoughts of death, the hit and run tactics of guerrilla reminders, and the traps of an illness identity that undermines your authentic self. The stories of how appraisals are generated through the loss of art, through death, debt, divorce, and disaster may remind you of your own legacy and how our attachment to things of beauty mirror our own culpability or grace. In the givers, the takers, the hoarders, the crooks, what Jimmy Baldwin called the sons of bitches we are and the miracles we can be. Above all, welcome the pleasures of acute simultaneity, the philosophical, psychological tonic of our recommended special blend, love enduring in the face of death. Pies, indeed, to die for. And don't forget, art is not a thing, but a way of seeing and savoring. It can distract, delight, comfort, and fill in the blanks of our tattered lives. Finally, pursue what thrills you. You, the distinct spiritual and emotional self you have become, one enriched by this chapter of terror you are passing through, this valley before your second mountain. Celebrate that real you before it is too late. We cannot make our lives longer, but we can make them wider, deeper, and higher.
Right. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for reading that. I read about the gas cap and I got it. I got it. Put it in your glove compartment because you'll need it. You may need it. That's the way you wrap the book up. And like I said, your book, and we have a couple of questions, so I'm going to get to them. But before I get to them, wrap it up, but you also put strong recommendations, like I talked about, and then you also put in your book, like your questions, common questions that people would ask you about each chapter. And what I try to do is stay away from those common questions so we can ask new questions today. But the fact that you put it in there where people can have their own dialogue after they read the book, because I definitely want to gift a book to one of my audience members to let them know that I would love for them to read this and for us to come on and discuss it again. Yes. Because there's a lot in here. We haven't even touched on information overload. Right. Once you've been diagnosed and all of a sudden you're clicking, or someone's trying to send you something or tell you to eat or don't eat. Right.
It's so confusing.
So you have so many different chapters in your book, and for them to just be 12, they all flowed together. Every last one of them made sense to me. But we have a question from one of our audience members, Terry. She says, was it easy to write, or did you get distracted a lot when you were doing this?
It wasn't easy to write, but I tried to keep the distractions down. I can't sit longer than maybe 3 hours, 4 hours. I have to get up. But I live in the country, and my husband works downstairs. We live in this big house with all these books, 20,000 books. So I tried to keep the distractions to a minimum. But, any writer is going to be desperate to stop beating their heads against things. I thought it was distracting to have the appraisal stories. I was always worried about, should I do this one or that one, or this doesn't make sense. But you know what kept me on track with those weekly meetings with the editor and those other writers? You need something to pull you back in.
They give you that feedback, that follow-up, which is great. We also had a comment, and it came on our screen, but I want to make sure that I share it again. It says, Carole, thank you for sharing your art. So many ways we can give back. The beauty is to celebrate self, us, just live. We never know when the angel of death will come. Have no regrets.
Oh, what a beautiful comment. Absolutely so. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope other people will read this other than people who've got terrible diagnosis.
And it's not just about cancer. I
Right.
have sent this out to so many people, and I was like, it's not one of those books. It's not another one of those books again. And I'm so happy that I had a chance to speak with you about Pies to Die For. Now we're coming up a little bit over the hour. Is there anything that you would like to? Oh, we're going to talk again.
Yeah, I hope so.
This is not the last time. I'm just happy that I was able to get squeezed in on your book tour. And I'm hoping that more people will pick this book up and read it, and make sure you write a review. Don't just read the book. We need you to write a review. And we're going to be giving away a copy of Pies to Die For during this broadcast. So enter hashtag #ChemoGlow in the chat for your chance to win. And I know who really wants this book already, because she already asked me. So we will see who it goes out to. Is there anything that you would like to tell our listeners about just living life, a vibrant life despite a fatal diagnosis?
I think you should surround yourself with people like Regina. Not necessarily cancer survivors, but cancer survivors are pretty good people. They understand what it's like to, look at the demon right face to face. But people who have a positive attitude, that makes a huge difference in your life. And get rid of the other people.
Yes.
Don't hang around them. I hope you'll buy my book. I think it's helpful. I'm told it's helpful to a lot of people. But most of all, take care of yourself by making your cosmos full of positive people.
Full of positive people. And so many people are, it looks like I'm going to be giving away more than one book, because I actually want people to read your book. And I love the fact that you read from your book. And I would love for you to come back and do that once we have started our own book club over here, Dr. Weaver.
Well, I'm happy to be part of it. I've had more fun. I can't believe it. The time is over. Thank you, Regina, for inviting me. I really relish this, and I appreciate it and send you blessings.
Oh, thank you so much for being on. And just wait for us backstage. Wait, okay. I want to make sure you get all your flowers while you're here. So this is what we do. We wrap it up by making sure you see all the comments from all of our guests. And Talanya, love her. She says, Carole, thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. So again, just hashtag us at #ChemoGlow, and we'll make sure that we get this book out to you. Carole, it has been a pleasure.
It really has for me too.
And I just want to thank you. And I want to thank Rick for reaching out to us. So hopefully we can connect on something else. Oh, we have a bunch of people on. Oh, well, those are all the folks that have been watching us and commenting.
Oh.
Wow. So thank you. Oh, wait a minute. We have a winner here.
NJ Styles. Oh, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Yes, I hope that you will enjoy it. We'll get this sent out to you very soon. And for anyone else that has put it out there, I'm going to send you a book, right? I have to, because we're going to start a book club. And we're going to have Dr. Carole Weaver come back and read a couple of more excerpts from this book and have a great discussion about it. So
great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Just sit backstage and we'll chat right after we go off live. Okay. Well, guys, this has been amazing. I am so happy to end May with Dr. Carole Weaver. Please make sure you read her book, Pies to Die For. It's not just another one of those cancer books or cancer stories. It's so much more. Music, art, you heard it. Let's make sure we read this so when we come back, we can get her back on and we can talk more about Pies to Die For. Now, while we're gone for the next couple of months, we still will be fundraising. Now, you heard Dr. Weaver talk about how important fundraising is. So Chemo Glow, American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. We're going to be making those strides. Please join my team. If not my team, create your own team. Fundraise. I don't want to have to go into a room and lift my shirt up and say, this is why, but I will. So make sure you guys donate, fundraise, walk, run. American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. And I really want to thank Kay Williams for joining last week and donating. She's seen us on and she joined us. So I want to thank her for making sure that we make strides against breast cancer. Again, if you guys want to express your glow, please email us at chemoglow@gmail.com. Guys, the second season has been amazing. We will be back with new things and some surprises. Make sure you enjoy the next couple of months. Spend it with your family, friends. Pick up a nice piece of art, dance, love, and get back to what makes you feel good. Because remember, the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.